Starting goalie
Oettinger.
and any lineup changes, Rupe.
Rupe out tonight, but I would still term him day to day. He's getting closer. Skated yesterday, skating today. So, hopeful for game 2.
Is Petrovic still in the lineup?
Yeah, yeah, same lineup as game 6 against Colorado.
Other questions for Pete? On the left, Mike.
Hey, with Rope, because it is an upper body injury, when I've seen him skating, he looks like he's skating really well. Is that
Yeah.
a good thing? Like, how do you see that as a coach? Because the upper body injury could be really limiting, but at the same point in time, his legs seem to be fine right now.
Yeah. Yes, his legs are good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I guess I don't know how to answer that. I don't. He legs are fine, wind's fine. He's got an upper body that's keeping him out, but he's progressing and really close.
And I was going to steal one from the Eastern Conference morning skate. They were asking the coaches, how do you feel before the game? Like as you're walking out there on the bench or, in the room getting prepared, what's the emotion as you get ready for a series like this?
Yeah. From a coaching perspective? Yeah. Excitement. I think experience teaches you to make sure it's controlled emotion and composure and those kind of words. But there's no better feeling than walking down the tunnel to a packed home rink, for the conference finals or the Stanley Cup finals. That's as good as it gets.
On the left, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how are you? Just wanted to ask about kind of home ice advantage and last change when they've got McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines. If that tool is that much more valuable to kind of get guys out there at the right time.
Yeah, I think it's always valuable. I mean, if you have your preference, I don't think it's everything. I mean, we saw Carolina Rangers last night. There was conversation about the importance of last change during that game, and didn't seem to be a factor. So, as a coach, you always like to have that tool at your luxury, and you work all year to have home ice for that. But the bottom line here is they're a deeper team than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and we're going to have 4 lines and 6 defensemen and a goalie, prepared and detailed and working to defend, whoever's on the ice.
You could argue their best weapon has been their penalty kill so far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I know, you prepare your power play for that penalty kill, and what are the things they do well that you need to work around? Well,
they use obviously some of their key offensive players on the penalty kill, which makes them really dangerous. Colorado did the same thing with McKinnon. Vegas did the same thing with Eichel. He killed penalties. When you've got, and I know that's not who scored shorthanded in Vancouver. I know it was Janmark, but when you've got your some of your key offensive players, Nugent Hopkins killing penalties, they become really dangerous. That's why Rupe Hintz and Wyatt Johnson, are also dangerous shorthanded. I think we had 10 or 12 shorthanded goals this year too. So, aggressive penalty killing mentality, you combine that with really good players, it's dangerous.
We'll go to the back left.
You've reached this level several times before. You have a lot of players who have. You have some guys who haven't. Does it become a challenge to not let your mind wander and think ahead, or do you almost kind of want to think about, how close you are to the great prize at the end?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think there's any harm in pointing out or the players looking, and at least you're not near the finish line, but at least it's in your sight now. You can see it, and that should be a motivating factor. You get to this point, you're only halfway through, but it feels like you've run 80% of the marathon, and you've only gone 50%. But so I think it's important to point that out to your group, that there's still work to be done, but there's a different energy because, at least you can start to see it.
Stay in that same row, Nick.
Pete, could you just describe the job Jim Nill's done and building for this particular season, right? To have a Stankoven to come up, that and Johnston, the way he's broken out, that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the best in the business and has been for a long time. And, on top of that, and I know you guys were talking about it yesterday, one of the most respected men in the business, just a great person to work for. And you see it every day in how he treats people. I think, for me, having been around some great GMs, I worked for Lou Lamoriello, I worked for Doug Wilson. I think as a GM, when you sit down at the end of a season and only one team wins, I think the best guys look at what went wrong with the roster, sit down with the coaches, and then, address those needs, fill those holes. And I know last summer, we got beat by a deeper Vegas team, and Jim went out and leveled that depth playing field, between signings, between him forecasting, and he forecasted that some of these kids would come in and contribute. That's not an accident. They're not coming out of left field. He felt that by this time of year, there was a couple of those guys that would be ready to contribute. So, that's what great GMs do.
We'll take two more. Elliot on the right.
Hey, Elliot.
Hey, Peter. Who's a player that when you came here that maybe you didn't know or you weren't sure about, that after now a couple of seasons you said, this is someone who really gained my respect, or I thought I learned there was a lot more there than I previously believed?
Yeah. It's a great question. There's a lot of guys here like that. I'll give you one older guy and one younger guy. I can't, for a younger guy, everyone talks about Wyatt Johnson, but I can't tell you how impressed I am with the growth of Thomas Harley and what he's turned himself into and what his potential is going to be. He's been absolutely outstanding. And when you look at his path, when I got the job, he came to training camp a year ago and didn't look close to ready to play in the NHL defensively. Went down, and all he did was concentrate on his defensive game. And now for me, he's one of the best two-way defensemen in the world. Plays against all people's top players, also contributes to offense. Killing penalties, outstanding. And and an older guy, for me, Tyler Seguin, and I've known Segi for a long time. I think he's he's a little bit of the product of his contract. A lot of the noise around his game over the last few years. He's really driven the bus for us in the dressing room. Chemistry, buying in. Playing the right way, filling whatever role we've asked him to play. We move him up, to first line center, move him down to third line right wing, have him killing penalties. Nothing's been an issue for him. There's been zero ego, and he's taken a lot of hits over the years from a lot of people. So I've been really impressed with him.
Last one, center on the right.
Yeah, hi, Pete. Last year, you guys were in this position, Western Conference Final. As you mentioned, there's depth, there's different bodies in the room. How would you describe the difference in what the team's attitude and feelings are this year compared to last year?
Yeah, I don't know, Bruce. I think when you're in the heat of it, you always feel like you can win. But, I think when we were playing those games against Vegas last year, I think it was more of a hope we can win, hope everything goes right and we can win. I think that's the difference this year. I don't think we're hoping we can win. We believe and feel that we should win every night.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
Okay.
Just can you speak to the job he's done to get this team where it is?
Yeah. I think this is part of his big picture. Maybe when he got here was just having a competitive team, year after year, and have a window that's hopefully always open. I mean, that's the dream of the league, right? But I think when you look at our roster, just the different ages you have, different levels of ages. I think the future's bright here for many years, but obviously with this opportunity in front of us, looking to take advantage of it.
Third row on the right, Sean.
I would think that in the playoffs you get to the second round, third round, there's a little bit of let's just keep doing what we're doing. But what kind of mindset has to go into taking on a new opponent from round to round?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the mindset, I mean, it stays similar in the way of, focusing on yourselves, focusing on your team and what's gotten you to this point. And then, when you're facing different teams, you got to focus on different players as well. When you play a team like Colorado, you got to know when McKinnon and Rantanens and McCarrs are on the ice. When you play Edmonton, same way. I mean, they got superstars over there, guys that can, take over games. And when you're on the ice, you got to be aware.
I'll do one more. Your coach, your GM, they talked about the idea of the veterans needing to maybe take a step back so that, all the players on the team could kind of take a step forward. I wonder what that looks like as a veteran, because I know you believe in your hockey skills and you believe you can get out there and do something in the game, but what kind of decisions do you have to make in your head to be able to take a step back and share the responsibility for the betterment of the team?
It's just the thought process of what the end result is. I think a lot of guys on this team, especially us little older guys, have, we've made our money. We've been through so many different attempts at the success, and we've all been first line players, first line power play guys. Probably could be in other teams, but you put it all together and you have different guys buying in and doing different things. It just makes you such a deeper team. It's hard to describe the feeling that we have when you have these guys that are doing different things and getting outside their comfort zone to have success and really have team success. And looking at the stats after the game and looking at the face-off percentages more than the goals and assists or the the plus minuses, things like that. Just having that buy-in makes you a deep team, and that's why we're here.
Fourth row on the left, Ryan.
Chris, a couple of years ago, you saw what it looks like when McDavid and Draisaitl get ramped up. How frustrating was it for you? Because we know you weren't healthy. To be in that series, wanting to try and shut those guys down, but not being, up to speed health-wise to be able to do it. And what do you expect in that challenge this time around?
Yeah, obviously two years ago didn't go how we planned in Calgary. Some crazy games. I think had a nervous breakdown watching the first two. I think I don't know what they were, like 9-7 and 7-6 or something like that. But those are the type of games you can't play against Edmonton. They're too skilled. You can't give them that many chances. They're going to score. They're too good of players. So I think it comes down to all five guys on the ice doing their jobs and being prepared. It's not one guy that can stop those guys. It takes five guys and a goalie. They're that good.
On the right, Jim.
Chris, there's been a lot of talk about your fit with this group, and I'm wondering if it makes any sense to turn it around. How does the group fit you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think everyone welcomed me so much from the moment I got here. It's not easy coming to a new team sort of 2/3 of the way or 3/4 of the way through the year. So guys like Segs and Benner and Joe and Ryan have welcomed me with open arms, and that's a huge component to being able to go out there and play well. And then as Tyler was saying, we have such a unique team where we have really good 20, 21, 22-year-olds, and then we got guys that are 38, 39 that are still playing great. So, it's fun to come to the rink every day, just seeing the different groups of guys, the different age disparities, and it's been a pleasure so far.
We'll go back on the left to Ryan.
Tyler, what would you say, what role will physicality play in this series, do you think? And what's your team's approach to, bringing physicality to a series? How high a priority is it?
I think it's an important part of playoffs. I think you're generally more engaged, competing on pucks. I don't know if we're a team that, says before a game we're going to, target this player and run through this guy or whatnot. Looking around different series, I think there's been more physicality in some different areas. I think our first round against Vegas, there was a ton more physicality maybe than against Colorado. Maybe Edmonton's going to go the other way. I don't know. I think it sometimes depends on the speed of the game. But our main focus with all that is our discipline and frustrating other teams with our discipline and how we compete on pucks, whether it's hitting or winning a stick battle.
Anything else? Oh, sorry. We'll take one more.
Chris, you were asked about kind of touch on Edmonton a little bit earlier with the series from a couple of years ago. I just wonder, from all your experience playing them, including a few times this year, what's the biggest difference you see in that team compared to the series a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think they've changed how they defend. I think they changed their system this year, I believe. So there's obviously since their coaching change, I think their neutral zone is tighter, their D zone is tighter. So I mean they're trying not to play in those 7-6, 9-7 games as well. So I mean they're a more structured team, and obviously with tremendous amount of talent and a very, very good power play.
What's it like game one? Obviously, those have been an issue. I don't know, issue. You just, like Robo said last time, you had it in hand as a team. And do you even think about them? Or no? Yeah. We do.
Yeah, of course you do. Just try to go out and win and get off on the right foot.
How do you feel right now, especially
I feel
after
good.
that double overtime? I don't know. Does that change your mindset at all? Or I mean, like the end of the first overtime was just chaotic, and to be able to survive that.
For sure, yeah, I feel good. Obviously, we're happy to have given ourselves a little bit of a rest. I think we earned that, and now it's up to us to take advantage of that and hopefully jump all over these guys. Obviously, they played more recently than us, so we should have better legs, and it's up to us to use that rest to our advantage now.
Does it help to face guys like McKinnon as you're coming in right now?
Yeah, I think they're similar beasts. I think just the speed and how dynamic they are, and how it's a group effort when those guys are on the ice, and we're all going to have to step up and elevate our game defensively, and if we do that, I think we'll like the result.
The Robo was talking yesterday about how they know when they're on the ice.
Yeah.
Do you lock on them at all, or?
For sure, yeah, you have to. Yeah, I mean, best player of all time steps on the ice. You got to know when he's out there. So just have to step up, defensively, make those smart decisions, and a couple big saves here and there too.
Are you processing left hand, right hand, where he's at, and where the angles can come? I mean,
always.
I know you are, but
sure.
it seems like a lot.
Yeah,
to do.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's all. That's why you do all that stuff in practice, just so it comes second nature, and you got to do that to the best of your ability. Otherwise, a guy like us is going to make you pay.
Is there extra video at all, or not? You guys know him pretty well by now.
I think both. Yeah, I think we know him well, but obviously, a lot of information can help, and especially obviously how good their power play's been, and just knowing what they're looking for. Hopefully, you can be a step ahead. Obviously, guys like that, it makes it hard, but if you can give yourself a half step on a power play like that, it can make all the difference.
One, what is the feeling as you get ready for a playoff game like this? And two, is it different because it's against Edmonton?
One, it's just kind of try to do the same thing as any other game day, and obviously the stakes are higher, but just doing what I can to help the team here, and that's just being ready and just going through my routine and getting mentally prepared for it. And then playing against Edmonton, it's cool. I mean, I played with them for half a season, so it was nice to see some familiar faces over there. It'd be cool to go home for the playoff run as well, but they're a good team. They're fast. They move the puck quick, so just got to be ready.
Do you have family, friends who are Oilers fans?
Yeah, lots.
Lots.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that do you get text messages? Or do they leave you alone because it's a playoff?
I get a lot of text messages, but I mean, I'm going to have my family there in Edmonton. No matter what, they're going to come to the games and watch them. Hope to see some friends there too.
What has this process of being called up? You played the one game this year. What have you learned about the team and how you fit in and what they do?
Well, I've been with the organization for 3 years now, so I kind of know, what their systems are and everything. Hockey-wise, we kind of ran the same stuff down in Texas with the Texas Stars, so that was easy to kind of transition up there. And it's just kind of know everyone too as well from training camp and the one game I played earlier, so that definitely helps. Just feeling more comfortable every day and talking to the coaches and just that's all it is, just getting comfortable with the day-to-day routine here and everything else goes smoothly.
Thomas gave you some props when you talked about last year. What has that been like trying to help the younger players? And I mean, there's some pretty good guys who've gone through Texas and then are now here.
It's good. I mean, just seeing those young guys come in, it kind of gives me that youthful energy a little bit. I got some young kids at home that kind of keep me moving too. So, I just like helping those guys with whatever experience I've had in the past, and on ice, off ice, just passing on my knowledge, and hopefully, if they take a couple things from that, and great. But it's been great to see the top end talent come through, and I kind of pick their brains as well to see what they're doing, and kind of add that to my game as well.
It is tangible. Like Tyler and Jamie have talked about, and Jamie's playing with two young kids on his line most games. I mean, you really do feel it, and it does give you a jump, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this new generation of hockey players, they're they got a motor that doesn't stop. They're always on the ice. They're always getting better. They're always, watching video, looking at little things. So, honestly, I'm learning more from them than they are from me. So it's good.
When you're out in overtime or double overtime, does it feel different at all, or are you just playing hockey once you're out there?
I mean, in the back of your mind, yeah, it's overtime, but when you're on the ice, you're just thinking about the next play and what being in the moment and trying to just stay there. And it was cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking back, that's a great moment in your career. I mean,
Yeah.
For me watching, I'm going I'm just glad I'm in the building to watch a moment like Matthew Shane scoring.
Yeah.
It is neat. I mean, it's everything you live for.
Literally, it's just grateful to be able to be put in that position and have that opportunity, and it's something I'll always remember. And it's just looking back, it was a surreal moment, and now it's now we're fast forward, now we're here, and we're just getting ready for tonight, and just kind of keep it going.
Make some more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.